an episiotomy, someone in the chat was asking what that is. It is a cut on the perineum to provide more space of it for a baby to come out. I don't understand, and I mean, this is an unlicensed midwife, so maybe they also just don't understand the purpose of that, but I don't understand what a episiotomy would do to help with this situation where the baby has been delivered footling breech and the head is stuck, which is my understanding of what happened. So if the baby is delivered out the cervix, the head's the biggest part, right? So that's what makes delivering breech babies complicated, particularly when they're footling breech, because a breech baby, I used to keep dolls in here. I need to just get a baby doll to keep in here, but a breech baby that comes out bottom first has its legs folded up. So the width of the bum coming through the cervix is still smaller than the head, but not as small as compared to coming out feet first, right? Because you've got the legs folded up, and that's going to make the space, like the baby's taking up more space in the cervix. So it can happen even with a frank breech birth or whatever, but when the baby comes out footling breech first, the feet come out first, that means that the entirety of the baby up until the head is relatively small. So baby can come through a cervix that's not fully dilated, or maybe their head's too big to fit. You want to know that ahead of time, not at the point that the body's out, because once the body is out, the umbilical cord is also out, right? So imagine the umbilical cord is going from the navel to the placenta, and it's going through a cervix that is very tightly closed around the baby's head. It's not a strangulation issue as far as like the neck being strangled. It's a compression issue of the umbilical cord. So you're not getting enough blood flow. This is a very serious emergency, and you have to manage it. Sometimes in a clinical setting, we can do something called a Dershen's incision, which is a cut on the cervix, which if you have the cervix as the problem and you can open the cervix up, sometimes that will help. Sometimes we would put on some forceps called Piper's forceps. But an episiotomy, unless it's being done in order to access the cervix to help cut an incision for the baby to be able to be freed, or to put on Piper's forceps, neither of which this midwife would be able to do, because midwives aren't trained in these things in general usually, but especially not an unlicensed midwife who's probably never done this, then I don't understand the point of cutting episiotomy, which only makes more space at the perineum, which is like the skin where crowning happens. So it doesn't really make any sense to me. I can see a situation where a episiotomy, even with trauma shears, which are not ideal, would make sense, but not this one. I just don't even understand. This just tells me more and more that this person should not have been doing this delivery.